Okay, so welcome to the deep dive.
All right, today we are going deep on Heath Ledger.
Okay.
We're going to be using his Wikipedia page as our source material. And, we're going to try to go a little beyond just like the, biographical details
Right.
and get into like, what drove his artistry and, what was the impact of his work
Yeah.
and like, why are we still talking about him?
Yeah, like what made him so compelling on screen, right?
Yeah. And, just looking at like the first couple paragraphs, like, wow, this guy,
Yeah.
is known for these really intense roles. But like his first acting gig was Peter Pan
Oh, wow.
in a school play at age 10.
How about that?
Right. So it's just kind of like, how did we get from there
Super
to, some of these like
Yeah.
darker, later roles.
Yeah.
And, he also really early on wanted to be a director.
Oh, interesting.
He even had his own production company.
Wow.
So clearly like a creative mind that wasn't content to just like
Yeah.
act.
And then obviously, like, you can't talk about Heath Ledger without talking about the Joker
Of course.
and that posthumous Oscar win, which, just kind of solidified him as a legend.
Right.
But let's rewind all the way back.
Yeah, let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah, so where do we begin?
Well, he was born Heath Andrew Ledger, April 4th, 1979,
Okay.
in Perth, Western Australia.
Okay.
His mom, Sally Ramshaw, was a French teacher,
Okay.
and his dad, Kim Ledger, had this really interesting background in racing and mining.
Okay.
So you've got this kind of cool mix of influences right there.
Yeah.
But then when you dig a little deeper, you find out about the family history.
Okay.
The Ledger Engineering Foundry.
Okay.
The Sir Frank Ledger Charitable Trust, it seems like.
So like entrepreneurial.
Yeah, like entrepreneurial spirit, community involvement. He's got, English, Irish, Scottish descent.
Okay.
This sense of legacy that, might have played a part.
It's interesting when you think about actors and how their family background is sort of
Influences their...
influences them.
Yeah. So then where did he go to school?
Well, first it was Mary's Mount Primary School
Okay.
and then Guildford Grammar School. And that's where this whole Peter Pan thing happens.
Okay, so that's where it starts.
That's where it starts.
Wow.
His parents, they split up when he was 10 and then divorced when he was 11.
Okay.
But he was really close to his older sister, Kate,
Okay.
who also became an actress and was even his publicist at one point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she seems to have been a big influence on him getting into acting.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I could totally see them like putting on plays as kids.
Right.
And was he like a song and dance kind of kid?
Oh, yeah. Actually, he was really inspired by Gene Kelly.
Really?
Yeah, and he even choreographed this really successful Rock I Steadfod challenge routine.
Okay. I don't even know what that is.
It's like this huge dance competition in Australia.
Wow.
So yeah, he was into dance and choreography pretty early on.
That's interesting.
It makes you think about how that might have shaped his acting later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, how he moves and how he uses his body.
Right. Exactly.
So from a young age, he was interested in performance.
Yeah. And later on, his family grew a bit.
Okay, how so?
His parents both remarried, and he got two half-sisters, Ashley Bell and Olivia Ledger.
Okay, so big family.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, how does he actually, start pursuing acting as a career?
Well, he seemed pretty set on it. At 16, he took early graduation exams to get his diploma, and then he and his best friend, Trevor DiCarlo,
Okay.
they moved from Perth to Sydney.
Wow, so
Big move.
yeah, huge move.
To try to make it in the bigger city.
Yeah, okay, so was that right into big roles, or was there...
Oh, no, it was a lot of, working his way up.
Okay.
He was in the show called Clowning Around back in 1991.
Oh, okay.
Just a small part, but, getting that experience.
Mhm.
Then in 96, there was this TV series, Sweat, where he played a cyclist.
Okay.
And he had a recurring role in this Perth-based series, Ship to Shore.
All right.
And then there was this fantasy drama,
Yeah.
which was pretty short-lived.
Okay.
And he even had a guest spot on Home and Away in 97,
Oh, wow.
which is like a classic Australian soap opera.
Yeah, it's like a rite of passage for
Exactly.
Australian actors.
Totally.
'Cause he's working his way up, and then
Yeah.
his first feature film was Black Rock in 97.
Right, a much more serious film.
Okay, so he's doing TV, he's doing film, he's getting that experience.
Exactly.
And then 99, I feel like, is a big year.
Yeah, big year.
10 Things I Hate About It.
That was the breakthrough.
Yeah, right? I mean, I remember that movie being
Yeah, iconic.
yeah, it was huge.
Especially in America.
Right. Yeah, it really put him on the map.
Yeah, that charisma, that effortless cool he had.
Totally.
But it's interesting because the same year, he also starred in this Australian crime film, Two Hands,
Okay.
directed by Gregor Jordan, and it showed this whole other side of him.
Like more of a serious...
Yeah, like grittier, more complex.
Right. He wasn't just going to be the teen heartthrob.
Exactly. He was already branching out.
Yeah. And then we move into the 2000s, and he starts getting some bigger roles in Hollywood.
Right. So in 2000, there's The Patriot.
Right, with Mel Gibson. Huge movie.
Huge movie.
And then Monsters Ball in 2001.
Yeah. Intense drama.
Yeah, so he's working with some big names at this point.
Right. He's really getting his feet wet in Hollywood.
Yeah, okay, so then does he move into, like, leading man roles?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
So there's A Knight's Tale in 2001.
Okay.
Kind of a fun adventure movie.
Okay.
Then you've got The Four Feathers, The Order Ned Kelly, all in 2003.
Okay.
And then Casanova the Brothers, Grim Lords of Dogtown in 2005.
So, like, all over the map.
Right, all these different genres. He's not being typecast at all.
He's trying all these different things.
Exactly.
And that's so important, I think, for an actor.
Yeah, to stretch yourself and
Grow and find out, like, what you...
where you're good at.
Yeah, and he won the Show West Award for Male Star of Tomorrow in 2001.
Oh, wow.
So, clearly, like, Hollywood saw something in him.
They definitely saw the potential.
Yeah, and then 2005, I feel like, is...
Yeah, another big year.
A huge year, Brokeback Mountain.
That's
Yeah, this is the movie that I think for a lot of people, like, solidified him as a...
serious actor.
Yes, like a serious, dramatic actor.
Right.
So what was it about that performance?
Well, I mean, he was just so raw and vulnerable as Ennis Del Mar.
Yeah.
You know, he conveyed so much with just like a look or a gesture.
Yeah.
And the story itself. You know.
It was groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking, you know, challenging societal norms.
Yeah, and I think he didn't shy away from that.
No, he embraced it.
He embraced it, yeah.
I mean, the critics loved it.
Oh, yeah, he won Best Actor from, like, everybody.
The New York Film Critics Circle, San Francisco Film Critics Circle.
Wow.
He got nominated for a BAFTA, a Screen Actors Guild Award, a Golden Globe, and the Oscar.
Yeah, he was so young.
26.
Wow.
One of the youngest nominees ever in that category.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And the reviews were just glowing.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading those reviews. It was like...
People were comparing him to Brando and Sean Penn,
wow.
talking about his ability to transform.
That's huge.
Yeah. Peter Travers from Rolling Stone called it an acting miracle.
Wow.
Like, he just completely embodied the character.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, Brokeback Mountain was definitely a turning point.
Okay, so then what happens after Brokeback Mountain?
Well, he keeps choosing these challenging roles.
Okay.
So there's Candy in 2006.
Okay.
Where he plays a heroin addict.
Oh, wow.
And that got him Best Actor nominations in Australia.
Okay.
He was really drawn to these intense characters.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah. And then in 2007, there was... I don't know about...
Okay, I remember that movie was so interesting.
Yeah, it was this experimental film about Bob Dylan.
Right.
And he played Robbie Clark, who represented, like, the romantic side of Dylan.
Okay.
It was a really cool exploration of identity.
Yeah, and then he posthumously shared the Independent Spirit Robert Altman Award.
Right, along with the whole ensemble cast.
So you can tell he...
The collaborative guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't afraid to share the spotlight.
Exactly. And he was willing to be part of something really unique.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we come to The Dark Knight.
Yeah, 2008 and The Joker.
The iconic role.
Yeah, and it's so sad because it was released after...
After his death.
Yeah.
But, I mean, his performance is just unforgettable.
Yeah, I mean, it's chilling.
It is chilling.
And he described the Joker as, you know, psychopathic, mass-murdering, schizophrenic clown with zero empathy.
It's a pretty intense description.
Yeah.
And he brought that intensity to the screen.
But you did.
Yeah. And he won a posthumous Oscar for Best Supporting Actor.
Wow.
4th youngest winner ever.
That's unbelievable.
He also got a Golden Globe and a BAFTA.
Wow.
It's just a testament to how brilliant he was.
It's so sad that he wasn't here to see all that recognition.
Yeah, it's a real tragedy.
Okay, so what was his final film role?
Well, it was in Terry Gilliam's The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus,
Right.
which came out in 2009.
Okay.
But he died before filming was finished. Yeah, he'd only done about half of his scenes.
So what happened?
Well, Terry Gilliam, being the visionary director he is, decided to adapt the story. And he got Johnny Depp, Jude Law, and Colin Farrell to play these, like, fantasy transformations of Heath's character, Tony.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was a really creative way to...
Yes, to finish the film.
Yeah, and to kind of give a farewell to Heath.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about his acting career.
Yeah.
But he also wanted to direct.
Yeah, he had this production company called The Masses.
Okay.
Which just shows you he wanted to be involved in the creative process in a different way.
Yeah, it wasn't just like...
Content with acting.
Yeah, he wanted to tell stories from behind the camera.
Right.
So did he actually direct anything?
Yeah, he directed a bunch of music videos.
Okay, like for who?
So there was Infefa, this Australian hip-hop artist.
Okay.
She did Cause and Effect and Seduction is Evil, she's hot, in 2006.
Okay.
And he also did Ben Harper's Morning Yearning that same year. And they even started a record label together, The Masses Music.
Oh, wow. So he was really serious about it.
Yeah, he wasn't just dabbling. He
Yeah.
was really committed to making music and supporting other artists.
And, like his visual style from acting must have translated to those videos.
Yeah, you can definitely see that.
Yeah.
He also had this deep connection to Nick Drake's music.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he wanted to make a documentary about him.
Wow.
And he even directed and starred in this music video for Drake's song Black Eyed Dog.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is about depression.
Wow.
And it was inspired by Winston Churchill's term black dog for depression.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a really haunting video.
Wow.
It was only shown publicly a couple of times before he died.
Wow.
Yeah, and then later it was put online.
So it's really like a hidden gem.
Kind of, yeah, it's a really personal project.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think about that, him directing and starring in it.
Yeah, it shows you this whole other side of his artistry. And
Yeah.
he was also working on adapting The Queen's Gambit.
Oh, well, the novel.
Yeah, the novel.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, he wanted to star in it and direct it.
Wow.
And apparently Elliot Page was being considered for a role.
Oh, wow.
It's so sad to think about what that movie could have been.
Yeah, with his vision.
Yeah.
And even after he died, his directorial work was still being recognized.
Yeah, posthumously, he directed music videos for Modest Mouse's King Rat, which was animated, and then Grace Woodruff's cover of David Bowie's Quicksand in 2009.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it just shows you how much respect he had as a creative force.
Yeah, it wasn't just acting. He was...
The true artist.
Yeah, okay, so outside of acting and directing, what were some of his interests?
Well, he loved chess.
Really?
Yeah, he played in tournaments when he was younger.
Oh, wow.
And even as an adult, he'd play in Washington Square Park.
That's cool.
Yeah, it shows you he had this, strategic mind.
Yeah, I guess that could be helpful for acting, too.
Yeah, thinking about the characters' motivations and all that.
Right.
He was also a big fan of the West Coast Eagles.
Okay, the Australian rules football team.
Okay.
So, still connected to his roots.
Yeah.
And he was a big photography buff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He'd even draw in his photos.
That's cool.
Yeah. So this artistic impulse was always there.
Yeah, it wasn't just limited to acting.
Exactly.
And then in terms of his personal life, he was linked to...
A few different actresses and models.
Yeah, Lisa Zane, Christina Cauchy, Heather Graham, Naomi Watts.
Right.
But his relationship with Michelle Williams seems like the most significant.
Yeah, they met on the set of Brokeback Mountain in 2004.
Okay.
And they had a daughter, Matilda Rose, in 2005.
Okay.
And their daughter's godparents are Jake Gyllenhaal and Busy Phillips.
Wow.
So, they were all really close from that movie.
Yeah, they formed a bond.
A real bond.
Yeah, and then they lived in Brooklyn together, but they split up in 2007.
Right.
And then after that, he was linked to Helena Christensen and Gemma Ward.
Right.
Yeah.
It seemed like he had a bit of a tough time with the press.
Yeah, especially in Australia. Yeah, it got so bad that he decided not to live in Sydney part-time.
Wow.
Yeah, he just couldn't deal with the scrutiny.
Yeah, I mean, it must be hard to be in the public eye like that.
Yeah, especially when you're dealing with...
Paparazzi.
Right? There was even that incident where he supposedly spat at journalists on the set of Candy.
Oh, wow.
Which he denied.
Okay.
But yeah, it just shows you how tense things were.
Yeah.
And the paparazzi were relentless at the Sydney premiere of Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, it was a mess.
It's so sad.
It is.
And there was also that controversy at the Screen Actors Guild Awards in 2005.
Oh, right, when he presented an award.
Yeah, some people thought he was making fun of gay people.
Yeah, it was really poorly received.
Yeah, but he said it was because of stage fright.
Yeah, he apologized and said he never meant to offend anyone.
Right.
But it just goes to show you how easily things can be misinterpreted.
Yeah.
Especially in the public eye.
Yeah. And he also made some comments about cinemas in Utah not showing Brokeback Mountain. And he got some facts wrong about lynchings in West Virginia.
Yeah, it wasn't his best moment.
Yeah, it's so easy to make mistakes when you're...
Under pressure.
Yeah. And it seems like he was also struggling with his health.
Yeah, he had really bad insomnia.
Okay.
Especially when he was working on intense roles like the Joker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he would reportedly take Ambien to try to sleep.
Wow.
Christopher Plummer, who was in the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus with him,
Okay.
said that Heath was sick with what seemed like a respiratory illness.
Okay.
And he was having a lot of trouble sleeping.
Wow.
Michelle Williams also said that he had been battling insomnia.
It's so sad.
It is.
And there were reports about drug use, too.
Yeah, there was that video from 2006
Okay.
where he said he'd been smoking weed for like 20 years.
Oh, wow.
But his publicist denied that.
Okay.
And there were also reports that drug use might have been a factor in his breakup with Michelle Williams. It's hard to know what's true and what's speculation.
Yeah.
But it's clear that he was struggling. And then in January 2008, he was found dead in his apartment.
Oh, gosh. How old was he?
Only 28.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was his housekeeper and massage therapist who found him.
Oh, wow.
And apparently they called Mary Kate Olsen.
Wow.
Yeah, they called 911 at 3:26 p.m. and he was pronounced dead at 3:36.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it was a huge shock.
The whole world was in mourning.
Yeah, it was a terrible loss.
Okay, so what did the autopsy say?
Well, it was released in February, and it said the cause of death was acute intoxication.
Okay.
From oxycodone, hydrocodone, diazepam, temazepam, alprazolam, and doxylamine.
Wow, so a combination of drugs.
Yeah, it was ruled an accidental overdose from prescription medications.
So it was like he was taking all these different pills?
Yeah, and they interacted in a fatal way.
That's so scary.
Yeah, it's a reminder of how dangerous it can be to mix medications.
Even if they're prescribed?
Yeah.
Wow.
And in 2017, a forensic pathologist said that the combination of hydrocodone and oxycodone might have been what actually killed him, possibly made worse by a chest infection he had.
Wow.
So it's just a really tragic situation.
Yeah, and then there was a federal investigation.
Right. The DEA looked into it,
Yeah.
but they didn't find any wrongdoing by the doctors who prescribed the medication.
Okay.
And Mary Kate Olsen's lawyer denied that she had anything to do with the drugs.
Okay.
So they closed the investigation in August 2008 without filing any charges.
So it's a mystery.
Yeah, we still don't know where those drugs came from.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
And then there was also the controversy over his will.
Right.
It was from 2003.
Right before he met Michelle Williams.
Yeah, and before Matilda was born.
Right, so it left everything to his parents and siblings.
Oh, wow.
But his dad, Kim Ledger, said that Matilda would be taken care of.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, he said she was their absolute priority.
Okay.
And that Michelle was an integral part of their family.
Ah.
Yeah, so it seemed like they were all going to work together.
Yeah.
But then there were rumors about another will.
Okay.
One that he hadn't signed yet.
That left most of his estate to Matilda.
Oh, wow.
And there were all these claims from other relatives.
Really?
Yeah. And even a rumor about a secret love child.
Oh, my God.
Which turned out to be false.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a whole mess.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, lawyers were saying that Matilda might have been entitled to most of the estate anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, under Western Australian law.
Wow.
But in the end, the family reached an agreement.
Okay.
And they left the $16.3 million to Matilda.
That's good.
Yeah. And Forbes estimated that he earned another $20 million posthumously.
Wow.
Between October 2007 and October 2008.
Yeah, he was still making an impact even after his death.
Absolutely.
And the tributes were just pouring in.
Yeah, there were public memorials outside his apartment.
Wow.
And his family released statements.
Yeah.
The Australian Prime Minister Kevin Rudd even made a statement.
Wow.
Warner Bros. Released a statement.
Yeah.
And fans all over the world were mourning.
Yeah. It was a really sad time.
And so many actors paid tribute to him.
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis dedicated his SAG award to Heath.
Oh, wow.
And Vern Troyer got a memorial tattoo.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a huge loss for the acting community.
Yeah, and Michelle Williams released a statement.
Yeah, talking about how heartbroken she was.
Yeah.
And how Heath's spirit would live on in their daughter.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was really touching.
Okay, so then what happened with the funeral?
Well, there were memorial services in Los Angeles and Perth at Penrose College.
Okay.
And then he was cremated at Fremantle Cemetery.
Okay.
And there was a private service.
Okay.
And his ashes were buried somewhere, but they never said where.
Okay.
And then there was a wake on Cottesloe Beach.
Okay.
Which was probably a special place for him.
Yeah.
The band Eskimo Joe wrote a song for him, Foreign Land.
Oh, wow.
It's a beautiful tribute.
Wow.
Yeah, and then in 2011, they named a theater after him in Perth.
Really?
Yeah, the Heath Ledger Theater.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's got 575 seats. And they have his Oscar there.
Oh,
and his Joker costume.
Oh, wow. So people can go and see it.
Yeah, it's a really cool way to honor his legacy.
Yeah, and Bon Iver wrote a song inspired by him, too.
Right, Perth.
Wow, so his reach is like...
beyond acting.
Yeah, he's inspiring all these different artists.
Exactly.
So when you look back at his acting, what do you think made him so special?
Well, he was really committed to creating these distinct characters.
Yeah, he didn't want to repeat himself.
Exactly.
He wanted to do something different every time.
Right.
And he talked about believing in the infinite power of belief.
What do you think he meant by that?
I think he meant like really immersing yourself in the role.
Yeah, like completely becoming the character.
Yeah.
And the directors he worked with, they all said he was incredibly creative, really serious about his work.
Yeah.
And he had this amazing intuition.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan, Mark Forster, Todd Haynes, they all loved working with him.
Wow.
Todd Haynes even compared him to James Dean. He said Heath had this precocious seriousness and intuition.
That's a huge compliment.
It is.
And it's interesting because he said he didn't want to have a Heath Ledger persona on screen.
Yeah, he wanted to disappear into the role.
Yeah, he didn't want people to see him.
Just the character.
Yeah, and then The Dark Knight just became this phenomenon.
Yeah, a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, and the marketing had to be adjusted.
Yeah, because of his death.
Yeah, they wanted to be respectful.
Yeah.
And Christopher Nolan said he felt so lucky to have captured that performance.
Yeah, and he didn't make any digital alterations to the Joker.
Wow, so what we see is all Heath.
All Heath.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And the film was dedicated to him and Conway Wycliffe.
Right, who also died during production.
Yeah, that's so sad.
It is.
And Terry Gilliam refuted those claims that playing the Joker had contributed to Heath's death.
Yeah, he said Heath was the least neurotic person he'd ever met.
Wow.
Solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't think the role had anything to do with it.
Okay.
And the movie was a huge success. Oh, yeah.
It broke all kinds of box office records.
Yeah.
And the critics loved it.
Yeah, they all praised Heath's performance.
Yeah, he won a People's Choice Award.
Yeah.
A Golden Globe, a BAFTA.
Yeah.
And the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor.
Wow.
He was only the second actor to win a posthumous acting Oscar.
Wow.
And the first for a comic book movie.
Wow.
And the Oscar's going to go to his daughter, Matilda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when she turns 18.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Michelle Williams is holding it in trust for her.
Oh, that's so sweet. And then there was that documentary, I Am Heath Ledger.
Right, in 2017.
Yeah.
It's got all this home video footage and interviews with people who knew him.
Oh,
it's really intimate.
So it really gives you a sense of who he was.
Yeah, beyond the roles he played.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Heath Ledger, he was an amazing actor.
Yeah.
But he was also so much more than that.
Yeah, he was an artist.
He was a director.
A musician.
Oh, yeah.
A photographer.
A father.
Yeah. And his life was cut way too short.
Yeah.
But his legacy lives on.
In his films, in his music videos.
Yeah.
And in the hearts of his fans.
Absolutely.
And I think what's so interesting about him is that he was always striving.
Yeah, he was never complacent.
He was always pushing himself creatively.
Yeah, he wanted to explore different sides of himself.
Yeah, and, he was interested in so many different things.
Yeah, chess photography, music.
Directing. It's like he had this endless curiosity.
Yeah, and a real passion for life.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what else he could have accomplished.
Yeah, what other stories he could have told.
Yeah, if he had more time.
It's a real tragedy.
It is.
But we're so lucky to have the work that he did leave behind.
Yeah, we should cherish it.
Yeah. And, maybe we can all learn a little something from his example.
What do you mean?
Well, just his willingness to take risks.
Yeah.
To push boundaries.
And to be different.
Yeah, and to follow his passions.
Yeah, no matter what.
Yeah, and I think that's something we can all aspire to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, that was Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was a pleasure.
All right, we'll see you next time.
See you later.